Utopia by Travis Scott just released last Friday, and I finally have one more rap album of the year contender for 2023. My twin CDTV uploaded their reaction to the album when it came out, but I wanted to make a video on it too, and now that I've given the album a few re-listens, I want to do a tier list for all 19 tracks on the project, ranking them from worst to best. This should be pretty interesting because I've never done a tier list dedicated to a single album before, so with that being said, let's jump right into it.
Okay, this shit is out of control. I'm driving through hell and I done brought snow.
First up we have HYAENA, and we're starting it off with an S tier track. A pretty great way to open up the album with one of the best songs on it. This is one that I'd describe as sort of doing the Owl Pharaoh sound in a much better way, because if you watched the recent video on my channel, Bad Rap Albums by Great Rappers, I had Owl Pharaoh by Travis Scott on there. And one of the specific points that I made against that album is it felt like maybe Travis had a vision for the project, but didn't necessarily have the tools at his disposal at the time to make that project in the right way. HYAENA feels like Owl Pharaoh done significantly better and in the right way, and as a result, it's a great track. The production on it is wild, the drums go absolutely crazy on it, it's cool to hear Travis just do more straight up rapping on the track, and it's still super catchy as well. There's also that opening, the situation, which has just been stuck in my head the past few days. So yeah, we're kicking it off straight away with an S tier.
Last day was filled with slaps, I guess gotta run this shit back. Didn't like the way this shit went down.
And track number 2, thank God, is gonna continue the strong trend. This is another S tier for me. It's one of the best songs on the album, and for me it only gets better every single time that I listen to it. I love the sort of long build-up we have with very minimal drums, pretty much just an 808 on the track, before more drums come in halfway through. Casey's hook on it is amazing. I don't know why Casey still isn't credited as a feature, because the features have been added to the track list now, but that's who does the hook on there, and it's absolutely beautiful. It just has this really dark anthemic sound to it. Travis's flows during the verse are just perfect, and they fit the sort of like sparse instrumental just in the right way. And then when the drums do drop in and you get the strings coming into the beat, oh man, it just sounds incredible. It's an incredible sounding track. And I guess there even is a little bit of lyrical content on this one, with Travis talking about Astroworld not winning a Grammy. So that I'd say is even better than HYAENA, but they're both S tier songs for me. This one is interesting because this is probably one of the more polarizing songs on Utopia, but for me personally, I'm throwing it in the A tier. I think Modern Jam is pretty great. I understand some of the criticisms for it, I guess. It's basically a slightly different version of I Am a God by Kanye from Yeezus, but I think Travis kind of pulls it off pretty well. Obviously, it's missing what you would have on Yeezus, which is the sort of like brash, cocky Kanye lyrics that really make it work and give the track a whole bunch of personality. You don't really have that on here because Travis just doesn't have the same aura as Kanye West, but it works as a different song, and I think TELEKINESIS Touchdown is great on it. I haven't really liked a lot of TELEKINESIS' solo music from what I've heard, but he's definitely a versatile artist, and he pulls off such a unique, interesting sound with his feature on here. It's one of the songs on the album that is the most easily comparable to Yeezus directly, but even then I still think it's a great song. I really enjoy listening to it. The production is great. The way Travis's vocals are mixed just really fits with the whole vibe of the instrumental. I just think it's a great track, to be honest.
Look in my eyes, tell me your tale, do you see the road? I'm out to my soul, and tell me the size whenever the smoke clear.
God damn it, man. This album really opens up so strong because track number 4, My Eyes, that is another one that I'm putting in the S tier. Look how strong the opening of this album is, bro. I just absolutely love what this does on both parts of the track. The first half of it reminds me personally of Brockhampton. A lot of people said that it reminded them of Frank Ocean, but I haven't really listened to much of Frank Ocean's music, so I can't say. For me, it just sounded like Brockhampton based off of what I've heard before, with the vocal manipulation, Travis's vocals being pitched in a certain way, and also just that sort of like tropical sounding string sound that plays a little bit throughout the first half. That felt very Brockhampton-esque to me, but I really like it. I think it's got a cool and, again, a bit of a different vibe. The Sampha feature is so short, but I think he was great for the, like, 5 seconds he was on the track. His voice sounds really nice. The build up to the beat switch is just amazing. And then Travis just goes off with an absolutely non-stop flow in the second half of the song, and it sounds great. And again, it's another one that has its strong lyrical moments, because the way that Travis kicks off that verse I just think sounds very interesting. It feels like one of the more sort of almost poetic verses on Utopia, and I don't think this is a lyrically amazing album. I don't think it's supposed to be either, but the lyrics on this verse are pretty solid, and it still is one of the best tracks on Utopia for me.
The butterfly reflect the doors.
Alright, God's Country, this is one of the ones I could see people maybe disagreeing with a little bit, but this is the first song to go in the C tier. It feels like one that was just put on the project because it's a well-recognized leak, I'm pretty sure. I think it was originally a Kanye song, but I never listened to the leak, so I don't give a fuck about it. And this song just comes off as really nothing, to be honest. It feels like it's missing something, and that's probably because it cut out one of the people that was on the song in the leak, which is Kanye. I do like the production on it. I like that eerie sample, the sort of weird lullaby feeling to it. It does feel pretty ominous, but Travis just does absolutely nothing with it. The flow is so boring. It's a skip for me.
In God's Country with the fam?
It feels very strange too, coming after the first 4 songs, where all of them feel pretty like well crafted and different, and they all have like just a bunch of different layers to them. And then God's Country just feels like the most typical song ever. Like, it feels like something that Travis would release as a low effort single in between albums, not a Travis Scott album song.
From 2 a.m. to 2 in the afternoon. It's a festival right in my room.
But then, thankfully, after that, we get Sirens, and Sirens is another one that I would put in the S tier. That's 4 songs I have as the best on Utopia right now. I just love the way that the drums almost sound like they're falling over each other. It gives the track this really chaotic type of feel, but it really works, and the way Travis flows with the instrumental is perfect. It's got some of the most catchy moments on it again.
Now I got your attention. It's a festival right in my room.
Oh man, it's another one that I just think is perfect. There's that sort of like instrumental outro to the track where you have what I believe are Mike Dean synths, which is just a staple of Travis's music and something that I absolutely love. It just sounds amazing, man. I completely get lost in this track every time I listen to it.
But really the truth is you're scared of the 6. Yeah, you're scared of the 6.
Maybe one of the more slightly controversial picks here, I guess, but Meltdown, I would put it in the B tier. It's a good song, but I'm not really crazy about it. A lot of people absolutely love the Drake verse on this track, but I really don't like it. I think the track would be better without Drake, in my personal opinion. I just can't take Drake's aggressive, right up against the microphone type of delivery seriously when he has the aura of a human teddy bear, you know? And the verse has some good bars in there, like lyrically there is stuff to appreciate with Drake's verse for sure, but that really doesn't matter as much to me when I want to skip the verse every time I hear it because of the delivery. But Travis is pretty solid on the track. It's basically the sicko mode of this project. The way that I've described Utopia before is that it basically feels like Astroworld's evil twin, and Meltdown feels like sicko mode's evil twin. And I personally think sicko mode is better, and when I did my tier list of diamond certified rap songs, I put sicko mode in the B tier, so it would only make sense that I also put Meltdown in the B tier, but as a lower B than sicko mode. They're kind of close to each other, but I'd much rather listen to sicko mode. I actually like Drake on there. This is one that's kind of grown on me since I first heard the album. Fiend I'd put in the A tier. That chorus is just absolutely infectious. Ever since Friday, I've been walking around just going bing, 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 bing. Sometimes Carti just does something in the exact right way and manages to get one single word stuck in your head. And then of course you have the Carti verse, which is just a completely different type of delivery for him. It was a verse that basically didn't sound like Carti so much that people were fiercely debating whether it was him or somebody else. And I'm not even sure if I think the verse itself is all that amazing, but it's super memorable. I'll give it that. It gets stuck in my head and it is pretty fun to listen to. Fiend is just a fun track. It's nothing that I have a crazy amount to say about, but I think it's a very fun song and I can enjoy it in that kind of way. And I think Travis is good on here, even if it doesn't sound like the most Travis Scott style song. It's fun.
So let's go.
DELRESTO is one that I think is a fairly nice track, but it's not one that I'm gonna listen to a crazy amount, so I'd put that in the B tier. That's one that feels more like it's a Beyonce song featuring Travis Scott. He kind of plays like a background character on his own track right there. It's one that sounds good, but it maybe feels just a little out of place on the album. I can enjoy it when it comes on, but it's not one that I have a crazy reaction to. It doesn't really like pull me in all that much. I just listen to it, think that was a cool song, and then move on to the next one.
Then again, I can be drunk. Baby, I don't wanna sound righteous.
I Know is probably the biggest grower for me since I first listened to the album, and I'd throw this up on the S tier. First time I heard it, I thought to myself, okay, that was cool, gave me a bit of a rodeo vibe, but not a favorite of mine. Now it definitely is one of the top tracks from the album for me.
I know, I know. I know, I know, I know, I know, I know.
Something about that hook, man, is so infectious and catchy. I love the whole lullaby type of vibe that the song has going on. It definitely gives you that sort of like 5 a.m. and drunk type of feel that Travis is going for with the whole story of the track. And it's one that I think has pretty decent lyrics to it, or decent storytelling at least. I think it's one you can just completely get absorbed in the vibe of it in this situation that Travis is painting with his words and the atmosphere of the song. There's something about this one that just really clicks for me now that I've revisited the album a few times.
Twin bitches hopping off a jet ski.
TOPIA Twins is another one that's just like cool. It's a decent song. There's nothing about it that's too crazy, but I still think it's really well produced. The chorus, once again, is super catchy. Twin bitches hopping off a jet ski. We have features on it from 21 Savage and NBA Old Boy. How old is Young Boy actually? Is Rob 49? Younger. Okay, that joke kind of works. Rob 49 is 1 year older than NBA Youngboy. That's probably the most distracting thing about this song for me. The fact that Rob 49 in every single way sounded like NBA Youngboy to me. Everything from like the flow to the delivery to the way that he emphasized certain words sounded like almost exactly like Youngboy, so that was really distracting for me. And 21 Savage, I am getting a little bit of like feature fatigue with the way that a lot of his features recently have just sounded like variations of the same flow and the same delivery and the same topics that he speaks about. It's like 21 Savage had that sharp improvement in sort of like 2018, 2019 and just has stayed at that point and hasn't moved from it since because it worked. So that kind of holds the track back a little bit, but he does work fairly well with the instrumental. I think the track overall has a decent enough vibe to it that I can enjoy it, and it's not a skip for me. It's just one that I wouldn't put any higher than being a good song on Utopia.
A walking distraction. I'm naturally blackened.
Unreal, what is this?
CIRCUS Maximus, I'm really torn on this one because I feel like for me it's probably between a B and an A, but I think I'll put it in the A tier for now. This is another one that reminds me a lot of Modern Jam, where again this is directly comparable to Yeezus because this is like an alternate version of Black Skinhead by Kanye, and again that means it's missing one of the best parts of Yeezus Kanye, which is just the wild, cocky, brash lyrics and just the over-the-top personality of Kanye West. But again, I still think it's a great sounding track. You have that little Sway Lee intro. The Weeknd's vocals are usually just absolutely beautiful, and that's no different on here. It's one that I feel like I should put in the B tier just because it sounds so much like something else, but it almost doesn't matter as much to me because I do really like CIRCUS Maximus and how it sounds. Because again, it's beautifully produced and you didn't have The Weeknd on Yeezus, so I guess this kind of gives you an idea of what it would have sounded like, and it sounds pretty beautiful. Parasail, I'm gonna go with the B tier for that one. It's basically just a quick little interlude style of song, and I listened to it, I think that's pretty cool. I have no issues with it, and that's about it. I also really liked, despite how short it was, Young Lean's contribution to the song. I think his voice sounded really cool on here, and it actually made me listen to a bunch of Young Lean songs today to see if anything else sounds like that. Right now, I'm really liking Agony and Yoshi City in particular. Those songs are pretty crazy. His music isn't necessarily amazing, but it's got this unique little vibe that I find interesting, you know? If there's one thing I could say for Parasail, I'm happy it's on the album because it's got got me listening to a little bit more of Young Lean's music, and I find the whole sound of his music kind of interesting actually.
I ran it back last time, but it ain't last time. I got so much around the house I had to hide mine.
SKITZO is one that I want to like more than I do, but right now I wouldn't put it any higher than the B tier. It's a 6-minute long song, it's pretty lengthy, but it does have multiple beat switches throughout it. It's got a feature from Young Jeff himself, but overall it's one that I just feel like never reaches particularly amazing heights. It just stays sort of consistently nice throughout it, but it doesn't go as crazy as I kind of want it to, because I want to enjoy it more. The Young Thug feature is pretty cool. He has some funny bars throughout his verse, like the Eminem one. I thought that made me smile when I heard it. The Travis Scott chorus during the first part of the song, again, is very catchy. It's one that I could actually maybe see growing on me, because I like the second part as well too, when the beat starts getting some reversed elements thrown in there. And then the third beat again has that sickle mode type of thing where the drums are more faster paced, and then right at the end you get it switching up into a more old school sounding beat, I guess, which was very interesting. Of course it has that cringy "I'm loyal bitch, I've got Ye over Biden" line that kind of sticks out like a sore thumb within the verse, but other than that I think Travis did kind of go off on this track. It's one that I hope grows on me, but it just hasn't quite got there yet.
Lost on islands, driven in boat cars.
Have you ever been lost? This is one that I'm gonna throw into the A tier as well. I like this album a lot. That's a pretty stacked looking tier list right now. I really like this one because I finally have a track that I can point to now when I criticize a mainstream rapper and then a fan of that rapper will reply to it by saying, "Oh, what? Do you want this rapper to go over Alchemist production?" or something like that. Travis did it here and it sounds pretty fucking great. And then the second that you hear that, "Hey yo," it's really cool just to hear a West Side Gun feature on here. Perfect beat to have him over. I think he really managed to stand out with this part on here. It was a type of song that I really didn't expect to hear on here, but it was just really cool, man. Boom, 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 boom.
I get it, love. They love me long time.
Love. This is a track, I've seen some people calling this ass, and I just don't get it. This is one of the best songs on the project for me. It's an S tier track. This song is absolutely wild. I remember just listening to it for the first time and thinking, what the fuck am I listening to? This is crazy. And it's still the way I feel when I listen to it now. I think Travis was great on it. Cudi fits it perfectly. I mean, you'll know if you've seen me talk about Kid Cudi before that I'm not necessarily crazy about his vocals, but I think he fits in with an instrumental like this perfectly. Just his monotone vocals really work with how insane the instrumental is. That chorus, once again, there's so many catchy moments on this project, but it's another one of those ones that I just keep repeating it to myself and sometimes stumbling over it a little bit. I get it, love, they love me long time. Love, I think, is an absolutely insane track, and I love it.
Swish. Move that shit out here.
Without a doubt, this is the most disliked song on the project. It was also the only single from Utopia, and I can see why it had people worried as a single. I didn't listen to this song before the album came out, so I had no clue what it was going to sound like. And it's not D tier for me, but it definitely is C tier. I don't think it's as bad as a lot of people are saying it is, but then again, I still don't really think it's good. It feels like Utopia's Guidance, which is one of the worst songs on Birds for me. Or no, it is the worst song on Birds for me. The drums have a similar bounce to them. Bad Bunny's cool on it, although he does feel like a bit of a weird feature to have on this project. And The Weeknd, he always has a smooth voice, always sounds pretty nice, but the lyrics on that verse are some ass. The more I think about this song, the more I don't really like it, but still, I put it in the C tier, not the D tier, and I can absolutely understand why this had people worried as a single, because it really doesn't represent Utopia at all. It doesn't represent the sound of this album.
Trust me, I know that's insane. I'd rather fuck on you than fuck on lames.
Telekinesis, I'm gonna put this one into the B tier, and first things first, before we talk much about the song itself, who's gonna tell Travis that telekinesis is not the ability to see into the future? Overall though, I think it's a pretty nice sounding song. The more I listen to it, it's grown off of me a little bit, and I feel like SZA absolutely carried it. I think SZA's vocals were absolutely beautiful on here, and she killed it the entire time she was on the song. Travis has some cool parts on here, you know, the whole "do you like the way it sounds?" I think that's pretty catchy. But overall, yeah, the more I listen to it, the more I think, this song's good, but it is a little bit kind of dull and not super interesting. SZA really brings it home. Future has his cool moments on it too. It's one of those ones that I'd say it's a good song, but nothing that I'm crazy about.
You know the love was X-rated, that's how we made it. Drinking her balance of patience.
And finally, the 19th and final track on Utopia, Till Further Notice. That's one that I'd put in the B tier as well. The B tier is getting pretty stacked at the moment, but it's a fairly good closer to the album. I'm just not too sure why there's a random 21 Savage feature on the final song on the album, and this is the 21 Savage feature on the project that just feels the most recycled to me. Like, I swear I've heard this exact same verse from him somewhere else. It sounds so similar to other stuff that 21 Savage has done, and that again drags down the track for me. I don't hate this man's music, I just want him to switch it up for feature verses so bad. But overall, once again, I do like the fact that this song also has that weird, just ominous, dark atmosphere to it. I think James Blake is great on it, and Travis sounds really great on it. It has that Metro Boomin production as well. It's a song that has a lot of good moments, but overall, I think I just need to wait and see if this one grows on me. At the moment, I just think it's pretty cool, but not something I'm super crazy about. But still, it's better to end on a good note than to end on a weak note or a trash note, and the album definitely doesn't do that. I've got it in the B tier, which is for good songs. And so right there we have my overall tier list for the songs from Utopia. What do you guys think of this? Let me know down in the comments below, and let me know what your S tier songs on Utopia would be, and D tier songs if you have any. I'd be interested to see. The ones that I could really see growing on me here are the ones that are in the B tier. I think the ones with the most chance of growing on me are probably SKITZO and Till Further Notice, I'd say. But I can only, you know, rank this tier list on how I feel about these songs right now, and this is how I feel after a few listens of Utopia. But yeah, overall, Utopia is definitely one of my albums of the year this year, and the most interesting mainstream rap album to drop in quite a while. So thank you so much for watching, guys. I appreciate you for checking this video out. You can click here on the screen if you want to check out my last tier list video, and much love to all my Patreon supporters and channel members over there, with a special shout out to my biggest supporters, and those are Big Daddy Foe, Griffin Upchurch, I Am Regent, KWG13270, and Lucas1123.